Hi, and thanks for joining us on today's webinar. I hope this finds each of you and yours safe and well in these tender times. So today we're going to be talking about something that's been on a lot of minds for nonprofits, and that's how to create connection and raise money using Zoom for virtual fundraising events. I'm Nicole Jones from TechSoup, and I'll be your host today. In the audience chat, let me know where you're joining in from. I've already seen some responses. We have Tamala from Louisville, Kentucky. Welcome. Katie from Austin, Texas. Rick from Indianapolis. Jane from Arlington, Virginia. Welcome to you all. It's great to have you here. So before we get into our talented presenter and her content, we're going to go over a little bit of housekeeping. So all lines are muted, but you can ask questions at any time by typing them into the Q&A panel of your webinar. You can also ask questions and share comments in the audience chat. There's always a lot of great conversations happening there, and you'll get to hear from other nonprofits, so do peek in there from time to time. We'll also ask you a couple of questions to respond to in the audience chat. If you lose your internet connection, you can reconnect using the link that was emailed to you. And lastly, you'll receive an email with this presentation, recording, and all the resource links, so you can go back and watch anything that you might have missed, and also share this content with others. And still seeing some more people chiming in. We have Makia from Denver. We have Amanda from Washington, D.C. Jody from Temecula, California. Welcome. All right, so there'll be lots of opportunities to engage with us on this webinar, and you can do that by asking questions in the Q&A section. We would also love if you can respond to the poll questions that we asked during this webinar and our post-event survey as well. And lastly, you can tweet at us. We're at TechSoup, and you can use the hashtag TSWebinar. And thanks again. Your engagement really makes a difference, especially when I know we're all facing a lot of distractions at home or wherever this may find us. So thanks for being present. Thanks for being here. Okay, now on to TechSoup, a little bit about who we are. We're a global network bridging tech solutions and services for good. More than 1.2 million nonprofits in 236 countries and territories have benefited from TechSoup and recognize TechSoup as their unique resource partner. And to help make that possible are the 100+ corporate donors and providers of software, hardware, and services who have chosen the TechSoup platform to help create and grow impactful in-kind donation programs. So you can check out all these great offerings from our partners by visiting our nonprofit tech marketplace. It's at TechSoup.org/get-product-donations. We'll include that link in your audience chat, in addition to the post-event email that you'll get within the next day. And I also want to share a special resource page at TechSoup.org for nonprofits impacted by COVID-19. So as mentioned, TechSoup is committed to equipping your nonprofit with the technology resources you need to meet your mission, serve your community, and support your staff. So that's why we've compiled these resources, from tools to support remote work, webinars like this one, related blog posts, free courses, and a whole lot more. We're constantly updating this page with new resources, which we'll share out in our chat. So do make sure you bookmark it and check it frequently. And with that, on to introductions. So we're joined by Quierra Trammel, founder of Tribe Table. She helps to plan successful, sustainable fundraising events with less stress and more profit. As a professional event planner and fundraising consultant, she's done over 100 events ranging from intimate happy hours that keep donors engaged to galas with hundreds of attendees and six-figure profits. Her goal is to share what she's learned about putting on successful fundraisers in order to make it easier for good people to positively impact their communities. And we're super lucky to have her here with us today. And we're also joined by our TechSoup marketing associate, Stephen Davidson, who will be assisting in chat. And with that, I will hand it off to Quierra. Thanks so much for being here with us today.
All right, hello, everyone. First off, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this webinar today. I know that with everything going on right now, you're all incredibly busy, maybe now more than ever. And it can be really hard to find even just an hour to set aside for something like this. So kudos to you for taking the time to learn. I am super excited to share this webinar with you. So let's get to it. Okay, so hello, my name is Quierra, and I'm on a mission to rid the world of events with dry chicken, boring speakers, and people waiting patiently to go home. So I say that because it's fun, right? But what I really do is I can help you turn your events into live branding experiences so that you can wow your guests with less stress and more results. So if that sounds like something you're into, you're definitely in the right place. Okay, so just so that I can get a feel for who's on the webinar today, I do have a couple poll questions for you. So the first question is, what makes you interested in planning a virtual event right now? Did you have a spring in-person event that you had to postpone or cancel? Maybe you normally have a fall event, but you're really not sure if you should take the risk in trying to plan that right now. Or have you always wanted to do a virtual event and feel like this is the perfect time? Let us know. Okay, great. So it looks like 62% of you, so most of you, had a spring in-person event. Looks like about 30% wanted to have a fall in-person event and you're just not sure about the timing, which I get. And then about 11%, 12% of you always wanted to have a virtual event. So that's perfect. So the next poll question is, what's the biggest challenge that you see with creating your virtual event? What do you think might be stopping you or getting in your way? Are you feeling really intimidated by the tech and you just don't know where to start? Do you have a really successful in-person event and you're just not sure how to create that same kind of energy and vibe online? Are you worried that your donors won't care if your event becomes virtual? Or have you actually tried a virtual event before, but you were disappointed by the results? Let us know. Okay, so it looks like 14% said, oh wait, we're still changing here. Let me give you one more minute. Okay, so about 45% of you already have a successful in-person event and you're not sure how to transfer it over. 17% said that you're feeling intimidated by the tech. I get it. That's why we're here today. 35% are worried that your donors just won't care. And then about 2% have done a virtual event before. Okay, so it looks like we have mostly people who haven't done a virtual event, so you're all in the right place. Okay, so this you don't have to respond to, but just kind of think about it. Think about if any of this sounds like you. You want to be able to bring in money for your cause during these really strange times without burning yourself or your team out. Or you love the idea of hosting a virtual event, but it also seems overwhelming, right? A lot of you in the poll said that you're not really sure where to start or what to do with the tech. And you wish you could just follow a really simple roadmap that makes sense and that can actually get you results quickly. So with all that in mind, let's dive into what you're going to learn today. So we're going to talk all about how you can create a virtual fundraising event with Zoom. And specifically, we're going to talk about creating an event that your guests will love, that'll raise more money, and that'll be less stress on you, which all sounds awesome, right? The first thing we're going to dive into is the mindset that you need to create profitable events instead of money pits. And we're also going to talk about where most people get stuck with this. We're going to go into how to identify the best type of virtual event for your tribe, how to promote your virtual event in a way that actually gets people excited about it, and how to engage with your guests and create an amazing guest experience even with a super small team. So before we dive in, I want to quickly share my story so that you can know how I learned all this, where I started, and how I got to where I am today. So when I first started out, I had to plan this huge 300-person fundraiser, and I'd never done anything like it before. I had no clue what I was doing. I had no clue how to get sponsors. I didn't know who to call or what to say to them. I didn't know anything. And I had 3 months to pull the entire thing off from start to finish. So I did what I do in any crisis, and I just started Googling stuff like crazy. And I found that there was a ton of advice out there, which sounds really good, but I found a lot of it to be confusing and frankly kind of frustrating. Because there's so many people out there saying that you have to do all the things to have a successful event, which made me feel like it was just a recipe for overwhelm and burnout, and then building something that's just not sustainable. Or people will tell you that you have to have a certain kind of event if you want to make money. Like the only way to raise money is to have this big old expensive gala, and you have to follow this super cookie cutter format. Now, my event happened to be a gala, but the format that people said that I had to follow just sounded so horrible and boring to me. I couldn't imagine people going to something like that and actually enjoying themselves. And it's really hard to know what's true and what's BS, because there's so many people out there who are giving advice, but if you dig deeper, you'll find out that they've never even had an event that broke even, let alone raised a lot of money. Or they did have a successful event, but they did so many things that they don't actually know what strategies worked because they were just piling on everything, and so they don't actually know how to sustain it year after year. And it wasn't until I really backed up and went back to what I knew that I really started to figure all of this out. I leaned on my event planning and hospitality background and really thought about what made people feel cared for and special at events. I went back to my psychology background about how people connect with the world around them. And finally, I did push myself out of my comfort zone to find sponsors, but I found a way to do it that felt really good to me and my personality instead of trying to be a certain way or a certain kind of person, and that frankly just made me feel like my soul was dying a slow, painful death. And when I did this, I got really amazing results. There were 270 people who had an amazing time at that event. We got super great feedback. Everyone was raving about it. And I raised $196,000 for the organization. And again, this was all in 3 months, starting from absolute zero and no clue what I was doing. And so today, I'm sharing what I've learned about events to help people come together and to put more good vibes out in the world. For the past few years, I've been helping clients get the same kind of results that I did. And these are people ranging from folks who are putting on their very first event ever, all the way up to people who already have six-figure events and they're trying to scale it to multiple six figures. I've also expanded these principles and tested them on large conferences and highly specialized summits. So you could say that I know a thing or two about successful events. And today I'm sharing all of my experience to show you how you can easily transfer these same success principles to make a profitable virtual event using Zoom. Okay, so why Zoom? So I'm sure you've all noticed that we are not in Zoom today. We're in a completely different platform. And we're actually using a different platform because we wanted to host as many people as possible in this webinar. But most people starting out with virtual events will have 100 or a couple hundred people in there. And Zoom is a great platform for that. In thinking about all the tech options out there for virtual events, and even all the options out there for fundraisers, we decided to focus on Zoom because it's something that most organizations are familiar with or can get acquainted with quickly. You can use it in tandem with other software, like other ticketing systems that you might have, like Eventbrite, and it can be set up really quickly so that you can connect with your tribe and start making money. And again, while there are plenty of other platforms out there that you can get really specific with and have all these really cool bells and whistles, we wanted to focus on something that was accessible for most people. And keep in mind that as we're talking about Zoom today, we're mostly talking about the Zoom Pro package, which is kind of their middle tier or most popular level. And it has up to 100 participants. So you can definitely have more people in your event if you want to. They do have packages for that, but this is just kind of to get you started. And also, as a special bonus today, I have a detailed roadmap for you that breaks down hosting your virtual event from start to finish. We'll be talking more about that at the very end, so be sure to stick around for that. Okay, so now that we've said all that, where do you even start? So the first place to start is with the mindset that you need to succeed. And in order to do that, we need to talk about where people get stuck. People often get stuck when trying to create successful fundraisers because they get caught up in the numbers and what they want to get out of the event. They only focus on selling a certain number of tickets or raising a certain amount of money, and then they wonder why no one comes to their event or their numbers just completely flop. Now, don't get me wrong, you definitely want to know your numbers because they're the guidelines to keep you on track for your goals. And I'm a huge proponent of goals. In fact, I make all of my clients come up with 3 main goals before we ever start planning their event because we use those 3 goals as benchmarks for every major decision during the planning process. So goals are really important, but they can't just be about you and what you want. So I'm going to let you in on the big secret about creating really successful fundraising events and, frankly, events in general. Are you ready? Okay, so the big secret is it's really not about you. Let me say that again for the people in the back. It's really not about you. Successful events focus 100% on their guests. They focus on who those people are, what they want, and what's interesting to them. Have you ever heard of the saying, what you appreciate, appreciates? I don't know where I heard this for the first time, and I wish I could give them credit, but I love this saying because it's all about focusing on positivity. It's about focusing on helping other people and then getting measurable results from that. Because showing people that you appreciate them and care about them can create massive results for your fundraising success. So I challenge you to, instead of focusing on getting your own goals and outcomes from your event, think about what you want to give or share with your tribe. Think about why you want to host an event in the first place. What do you want to give? Not what do you want to get, what do you want to give? An easy way to do this, if you already have your goals written out, for instance, is just to flip them. So if one of your goals is, I want to sell 200 tickets, right? You can flip that to, I want to give 200 people the chance to connect together and to find out about all the different ways that my organization can help them to make a difference in our community. So take some time and really think about the people that you want to invite to your event. Think about who they are besides being potential sponsors, because they're people first, not just walking money bags. Are your people parents? Are they outdoor enthusiasts? Are they people who feel really connected to animals? Are they business owners who want to make their neighborhoods better while also making money? So on the flip side of this, you might also have supporters who are not your tribe. These would be the people who only care about you paying for a specific kind of event that they want to go to, but they don't actually care about you or your mission, and these are the people that dodge all of your phone calls and never respond to a single email and won't go to anything else. If you have these people, you know who they are. You know exactly who I'm talking about. So these people are not your tribe. Your tribe ultimately cares about helping to move the work forward too. They just want to do it in an easy, accessible way. So take some time to get to know your real tribe, and then you can create the perfect event specifically for them. Because what I found in my work building my own events and now helping clients to do the same is that all successful events focus on 3 things. These 3 things help organizations to build the strongest communities and also to make the most money. And the cool thing is that they're really, really simple. And since most nonprofits don't focus on these 3 things very much, if at all, if you take these things and build them into your event, you're going to skyrocket past any competition that you have in your sector. People are going to start calling you up, and they're going to want to know what your secret is. They're going to want to know how you did it. And I know this because I got these phone calls. So the other cool thing is it doesn't matter what size or type of event you're having. These three things work for all of them. So the three things that your event needs to be fun, it needs to be meaningful, and it needs to be convenient. When you build your event around these three things, you're focused on building real relationships with real people. And because you did it specifically for your tribe, you're creating a situation where every single person feels like you tailor-made an event specifically for them, that you put in all the things that they love personally. And people who feel appreciated, heard, and cared for like this, they're going to go out of their way to give that feeling back to you. And for fundraisers, this turns into the three most important resources, which are time, money, and people power. So as we go through this webinar today, I want you to keep asking yourself, how can I use this to make my event more fun, meaningful, and convenient for my virtual event guests? Okay, so next, let's talk about choosing the perfect event. So the perfect event is what's going to be most fun for your guests. It's going to be the most profitable, and it's going to be the event that's the easiest for you to pull off with the resources that you have. So I want you to think about, what do people already love most about connecting with you in person? So if you already have an in-person event, what are the parts that people just rave about, right? But if you don't have an event already, like, what are the things that people just love to connect with you about? How are you already getting to people? And then I want you to think about, what would it take to make those things virtual? So brainstorm an entire list, write down anything you can think of. You can do this activity later by yourself or with your team, get everybody on a Zoom call, and then everyone can come up with ideas. And once that's done, the next thing you want to do is, so you want to circle the things on the list that meet all three criteria the best. So what's going to be the most fun for your guests, what's potentially profitable, and what is good for your team. Like, what can your team actually handle? And then what you're going to do is you're going to narrow that down even more, and you're going to choose three things from that list that you could do really well. Like, you could just knock it out of the park. So those three things are going to be the core of your event. So an example of how to use this exercise is you might want to have a multi-tiered auction, right? But if you don't have the tech or the budget to get the tech that you need to do it well, then you might want to think about either simplifying your auction or doing a different kind of event this year for your virtual event. So just as an example of how you can switch up an in-person event, let's say you normally have a live concert. What you could do is you could turn that into a virtual VIP listening party, and you can maybe give people a more intimate, personal experience with the artist. Maybe they get a chance to ask questions. Maybe the artist shares the stories of how they created their songs, right? So there's so many fun things that you can do. Another recent example of this is that John Krasinski from The Office, he decided to create a YouTube show a couple weeks ago called Some Good News. So he and his wife, Emily Blunt, who plays Mary Poppins, they used Zoom to surprise a special little girl on one of the episodes. So the little girl, her and her family had tickets to Hamilton, but of course with everything going on, that got canceled. And so what they did is they decided to surprise her with a performance by the entire cast of Hamilton in Zoom. It was crazy. So if you have not seen Some Good News yet, you should definitely check it out on YouTube. Be prepared to cry. It's awesome. Another example is Captain Tom Moore, who was at the time I put this, he was 99, but he has since turned 100. But he is a British World War II vet, and he set a goal to walk around his garden 100 times before his 100th birthday. He ended up raising $40 million for health services, which is crazy, especially since his original goal was $1,000. So there are so many cool things that you can do right now virtually. And the main thing I want you to keep in mind is that people are looking for ways to help. People want to feel good right now. They want to feel connected, especially now. So give them that opportunity. Okay, so really quick, I want you to tell me in the chat, what is one way that you could make your event more fun for your tribe? So this doesn't have to be your entire event plan, right? What's just one little thing that you could do to make your event more fun? Oh, yes, Leslie loved the virtual prom and graduation episodes, yes. Yeah, I definitely cried and also danced during the virtual prom one. It was great. All right. Let's see. We got, oh, they're coming in fast. Okay, cocktail recipes, music, a masked virtual gala. I love that. Live music, yes. Trivia quizzes, and we're going to talk about that more. Absolutely. Virtual hat contest. Oh, it's moving so fast. Being silly, dressing up, yes. Dance, always down to dance. Absolutely. Virtual tours. I love that. Box lunch and signature drinks. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. These are all really great ideas. So keep them going because part of this is so that we can learn from each other, right? So keep putting your ideas in the chat. Awesome. So next, let's talk about how to promote to connect. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go where your people are hanging out. So are they on Facebook right now? Are they on Instagram? Maybe you can still reach them via email because they're still checking it for work, right? Where are your people? Are they somewhere else that you can reach them virtually? Where are they hanging out right now? And you also want to look at not just where they normally go to connect with you, but what are their other favorite places to hang out right now? Where are they going to, you know, keep in touch with family and friends? They might be receptive to your message in a place that's not where they normally see you, but you do have to go about it the right way. And the right way to do it is to share what they want to see. People are looking for good, fun, uplifting news, especially right now. People want to connect to something positive that matters. So you want to make sure that you're connecting with your people emotionally too. So give them something to look forward to. Your job is to give them the opportunity to feel good in a way that's easy and accessible for them. All right, so let's fire up that chat again. What's one way that you can make your event more meaningful for your tribe? All right, I'm seeing a ton of really awesome ideas still for making it fun. A dance-off. I did a dance-off at an in-person event before. It was so much fun. And we were all ridiculous because none of us knew how to do it, and it was just great. Okay, so meaningful testimonials from your students and performers. Yes, client stories, absolutely. Personal shout-outs. Yeah, everybody loves a shout-out. A mission moment, success stories. Ooh, a virtual bar hopping event. That sounds fun. Yeah, it really is all about finding what people like. Absolutely. Get to know beneficiaries of the program. And how do you let them get to know your beneficiaries in a way that they're actually interested in? Success stories, yes. Artist demonstrations, love it. Love, love, love. Okay, again, keep that party going. Give each other ideas. Okay, so what do you do about sponsors? So maybe you're one of those folks, the large majority of you, that had a spring event that had to get postponed. Maybe you normally do have sponsors. So how do you get them interested in a now virtual event? So first off, all events should focus on perks for sponsors. So if your perk is a chair, food, and drinks, you need to do better. Those are a given. If people come to your event in person, you should feed them and give them a drink and give them a place to sit. Those are not sponsor perks, okay? So focus on marketing opportunities and giving them the chance to talk to people in the room. So you can still have high-ticket sponsors for your virtual event. Obviously, if you're transferring that from a gala, you just deduct the cost of food and drinks, but you can still do that. So you might want to bring down the investment levels of your sponsorship amounts, but you don't have to. And the cool thing with virtual events is that more of your sponsor money goes towards your profits and your mission rather than putting on the event itself. So on average, my clients will spend anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 on a venue, food, AV, all that kind of stuff. And with a virtual event, all those big ticket items, they're not even a factor, which is awesome. So here are some traditional sponsorship perks that you can still do with virtual events. So if one of your sponsor perks is that you usually sell ads or give ads in your program or slideshow, you can still do that. So you can create your slides and then just share your screen during your program and just have, like, you know, your face to the side or the speaker's face to the side, but people can still get your sponsor's ad that way. Another thing is if you do a logo wall, maybe you have kind of like a step and repeat or something like that, or you can still put your sponsor logos together. One fun way to do it is you can put them all together on an image, and then you can actually turn it into a background in Zoom. So you and your team and even all of your other sponsors, you can send that image to them and they can all use it for their backgrounds during the Zoom event, which is awesome. And you can also do this if you have like a really fun theme, which we'll talk about more. But this is mostly really cool so people aren't going to see like your kitchen behind you or a random white wall in your house. And another thing you can do is, as far as networking, is giving people the opportunity to connect with other guests. So what you can do in Zoom is you can use small breakout rooms. And you can also use this feature if you normally have gala tables. You can kind of create these small virtual tables to get people to interact with each other, and then they can do games together or do trivia together, and it just gets people talking. And the other thing is your sponsors can always sponsor the fun. So maybe they sponsor one of those games that you're having or the trivia, or like a fun part of the program like a performance. If you have a performance or if you have artists, right? They can even sponsor the dance-off that you're going to have. So however you decide to engage with your sponsors, you can definitely still have sponsors for a virtual event. The big thing I want you to remember is that less is more. So only have a few options for your sponsors or for your tickets. If people can only have even just like a few choices, or better, even one choice, that's awesome. So the perk of the virtual event also is that all other messages that you normally put out can be virtual too, so that you don't actually have any of the costs of like printing invitations or mailing them out or any of that kind of stuff. Because remember, people do not want to build their own sponsorships. They do not want to take the time to figure out what you want them to do. So you want to make it turnkey for them. Another thing you want to do to use less is more is to use the 3-second rule. So this is my rule of thumb, that if someone is walking into your event for the first time, whether it's in person or virtual, if it takes them longer than 3 seconds to figure out what you want them to do next, you need to go back to the drawing board and make it easier for them, because people aren't going to know, right? They didn't spend months putting this thing together like you did. So you want to make it easy for them. An example of this is just, do people know how to donate at your event? Is it obvious? Did you create a link for them and share it in multiple places? During your event, are you frequently putting it in the chat so that people can see it when they're looking for it? Things like that. You want to just make it easy for people. A couple other things on making it even easier is to have all of the materials and links that you need ready to go before you start promoting. So this includes everything for your promotional event. So your ticket platform, all the links, like I mentioned, your event page on your website, have all that ready to go, along with your sponsor materials, all of that. And you're going to want to schedule your Zoom room well in advance so that you can link that up on the back end also. So for example, if you're using something like Eventbrite, you can link that up so the minute somebody buys a ticket, they already have the Zoom room that they're going to need. And then the other part of that is make it even easier, is to put that link for your Zoom room everywhere that a guest, so a person that's already bought a ticket, would possibly look for it. So you're going to want to put it in every single email that you send them, along with date and time reminders, and also a little button that they can click to actually add it to their calendar. This will significantly reduce the amount of questions that you get about it. A couple people will still miss it, but the more you put it out there, the more people will see it. And the best part about this is, for the other guests, it's just going to make you look super polished and prepared. So tell me in the chat, what's one way that you could make your virtual event more convenient for your tribe? And again, this can be little things. Link reminder the day before, yes, absolutely. Connect the Zoom event to the Eventbrite tickets. Simplify the tech, yes, yes. I'm all about simplifying the tech. Advertise on the homepage, automatic reminders, Plus, plan the best day and time, Make it available across platforms. Phone calls to help them know what to expect. I love that. That is so high touch. I love that. Yeah, make your people feel special. Awesome. These are all really great ideas. Okay, so next let's talk about some pro tips for engagement. So the first thing is that you want to have 2 campaigns written and ready to use before you actually start promoting your event. So one of the campaigns is going to be for people who haven't bought tickets yet, and then the other campaign is going to be for the people who have. So this one is really fun because what a lot of people do is they'll send out, one email right before that's like, here's a reminder of this event we're having, and here's like the time and the Zoom link, right? But what you want to do is really utilize all of that time between when someone purchases a ticket to your actual event to get them pumped up and excited for it, right? You do not want to ghost on people who bought tickets and then have them lose interest and then not show up. So you want to really, really use that time to get them excited and to keep them excited. Another thing you want to do is don't offer a replay. So you want people to come live and you want them to be engaged, which means it is up to you to show them how giving you their undivided attention is going to be worth it for them. So you have to make it worth it for them, but don't offer a replay because you want them live. Okay, so next let's talk about how to create an amazing experience that your team, no matter how small, can knock out of the park. So we've already set you up for success for this by choosing the right kind of event, but there's some other things that you want to keep in mind. So for virtual events, it's great to have at least 2 people running things. You can do it with 1 person, but it's really smooth with 2. So at least 1 person can be the host and, talking to people in the event, and then another person can be helping on the back end to engage with people in the chat box. So if you have more than 2 people, that's even better because you can have more team members engaging in the chat box and really getting to know people and keeping the conversations going. And then you could have someone else who's maybe acting as your stage manager in the waiting room in Zoom, where your speakers and performers or special guests are hanging out until it's the right time to let them in. So again, you can run a super smooth virtual event with 2 people, which is really awesome considering live in-person events take small armies of staff, volunteers, and all the different vendors that you had to hire to pull it off. And if you've done a large event like that, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so now that we've said all that, let's talk about some of the really fun things in Zoom. I love this. So these are just some fun tools that you can use to keep people engaged in your event. So the first one is backgrounds. So I mentioned that you can use backgrounds to create sponsor logo walls, But if you have a fun theme, you can also do that. So say you have like a 60s theme, you can have a selection of backgrounds that people can use, and then you can also have your guests dress up, which is really fun. Or in a time like this, if your people are nature enthusiasts and they can't actually get outside together, you can give them all backgrounds of the redwoods, and you can just pretend that you are amongst the trees right now. There are lots of options out there. Another cool feature is a makeup touch-up. So this one is just, it makes you look like, you know, you have better lighting, makes you look a little more awake. These are really great. Another one is multiple screen share. So this one is really cool if you do decide to do something like an auction or something like that. What you can do with the multiple screen share is one of your screens can be the package that you're talking about, or it can be your auctioneer or anything like that. And then the other one can be a progress tracker so that everybody knows where you're at and you can kind of celebrate and get excited that way. You can also have people respond to things using these reaction emojis. So you can ask people to give you a thumbs up or clap if they like something. And this is just a really small way to keep people active and engaged throughout your event. And the other one is to utilize recording. So I did say earlier that you don't want to offer replay. So you don't want to give the recording out to your guests unless, of course, you're doing something like a conference. But you do want to actually record your event because this is going to be internal data for you and your team. So you do want to keep that, and it's a really awesome resource to have. Okay, so you just did all that work. For the love of all things holy, do not start over from scratch every year. Have a plan for how you're going to stay in touch with your guests before your event is even over. You want to give them the chance to keep the party going. So you're going to want to stay in touch with people, especially those who participated the most in your event. And you can look at your recording to find out who those people are. You want to know who gave the most, but you also want to know who is the most active in the chat. Those are your people. Those are your tribe. So what you want to do is you want to reach out personally to that specific group of people and thank them and give them opportunities to stay involved. And then after your event, you want to let your entire guest list know about all the wins that they helped create. Remember, it's about them. And let them know what you're up to next that they might be interested in. So let them know how they can stay in touch with you and all the awesome people that they just met. So you can also give them like a private Facebook community where they can go in and get to know each other, and then they can invite their friends in who care about the same mission or are a good fit for their tribe. So there's lots of things that you can do to keep the party going. Okay, so I just threw a lot of information at you, so let's recap this. Today, you learned how to shift your mindset so that you can make any event successful. You learned how to create a virtual event that your people are actually going to love, how to promote it in a way that it engages your tribe and that they're actually interested in hearing about it. And you learned how to build a structure that your team can actually handle. You learned how to avoid the mistakes that trap so many people when it comes to fundraising events. You learned why your event really shouldn't be about you and how that actually makes things way easier. And you got clear on exactly how to use Zoom to create an amazing guest experience that you want to for your tribe. So more than anything, I hope you walk away today knowing that you can do this. You can have a virtual event and it can be awesome. And like I mentioned in the beginning, I have a special bonus for you today. It is the Virtual Events with Zoom Roadmap. It's a step-by-step process for hosting your virtual event, and it tells you everything that you need to do. I love it. And it tells you how to set up your Zoom rooms. Yes, that is plural. You need more than one Zoom room. And it also includes a checklist of exactly what to do before your event to make sure that everything goes smoothly on event day. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check out this link. It's tribetable.org/virtual-roadmap. And we're also going to pop that link in the chat for you. And if you want to reach out to me personally, you can go to my website, which is tribetable.org, or you can email me at info@tribetable.org. if you have questions, you think you might need help with your next event, or you want to tell me about your success after you do it, I want to hear all about it. I love a good story, so definitely reach out. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope that you found this helpful, and happy connecting. All right, so now I'm going to turn it back over to Nicole.
Great. Thanks so much, Quierra. So much great information. And along with that, we've gotten so many questions. We're going to do our best to try to get through as many of them as possible and definitely prioritize the ones that have come up, maybe in multiple ways, phrased in different ways. So we're going to start with those in just a moment. But before we get there, just wanted to talk about our TechSoup Zoom discount program, because I did see that is a question that has come up quite a bit. So a little bit about it. Provides video and web conferencing as well as webinar software to eligible nonprofit organizations and public libraries throughout the U.S. So you can use Zoom products to communicate with colleagues, partners, donors, volunteers, and meetings and webinars. So this is for both meetings and webinars. And there's also some questions about the difference and when to use a Zoom meeting versus a Zoom webinar. We'll address that in just a moment here. But there are two different options to choose from for the TechSoup Zoom discount program. So you can look there. There's the Pro plan, and then we have the business plan. I won't get into the nitty-gritty because we do have a link with where you can learn more about that and if your nonprofit is eligible and all the other things that you need to know about that program. So we will, we'll drop that there, continue asking your questions, and we will be sure to review them. So we want to get into our general Q&A now. Again, we've got so many great questions, and I'm going to start at the top here with a question from Julie. So this has come up in multiple ways as well. Her question is how to address virtual event fatigue when many competitors are also going virtual, not to mention just screen fatigue in general. I definitely have some thoughts on that, but Quierra, do you want to try that?
Yeah. That is an amazing question. Thank you for asking that. So the biggest thing that I would do is, one, make sure that people know your event is going to be fun before it actually happens. And so that's, again, like really knowing your tribe, knowing what they're into. And, people might be over all of the virtual events and they're talking to all their family members on Zoom and they're helping their kids with schooling on Zoom right now. So there's definitely that screen fatigue. But if people know that you're going to give them something fun and that's worth their time, they're going to still be interested. The other thing I would do is break it up. So if you have an event that is, program heavy, take some of that programming out. Give people opportunities to kind of like get up and move around or talk to other people. All those little breaks are really going to keep people engaged. I know one event that actually did like a mini yoga session in the middle of their event, right? Just to kind of get people out of their chairs. So yeah, I think those are the ways that I would kind of battle that overwhelm of screens right now.
Yeah, and just to add to that, and here I know we've been talking a lot about Priya Parker. She's the author of The Art of Gathering, and she's been talking a lot about right now how to translate engaging experiences to the virtual format. And she just starts with the question of, what does my community need right now? Is a virtual event the right way to go? Are there other ways that I can really show up and continue to build that connection? So, and I think you addressed this as well, Quierra, just starting with, should we do a virtual event? Is that the best way we can show up? Is that the best way we can connect? Knowing there is a lot of distractions and a lot of competing events out there as well. All right, our next question here. This is from Nan. So she'd like to know about using Zoom meeting or Zoom webinar for events. And yeah, I'm happy to tackle that unless you wanted to start with some of your thoughts, Quierra.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Yeah, so you can use both. You can use both for events. The big difference, though, with Zoom Webinar is that you're going to have a registration page built into your experience. And I also saw some questions about integrating with payment systems like PayPal, and you can do that with Zoom Webinar. It is an additional, and you might not get this in the TechSoup package, so please you'll have to do a little research there. But the biggest difference is that registration page. You'll get to collect contact information. You can integrate it to whatever CRM you might be using, for example, HubSpot or Salesforce. So that is the biggest difference. I would say for all of these too, as a side note, some questions about security have come up. It's really best to have good security in place, and that includes having a password, enabling a password. So you can see this in your settings, and we'll include a link for just some basic Zoom tutorials, some videos that you can watch to make sure you are taking all of security and keeping that in mind. So passwords and also waiting rooms, that's been recommended quite a bit. Might be difficult if you're having a large event, but just to prevent any surprises, that's the best thing to do. And so you can do that for Zoom meetings, Zoom webinars. You are going to have a registration page. You can also have the password, and that will safeguard your event a little bit more. So those are just some basics on those differences. Okay, let's move to our next question here. This is from Jane, and Jane would like to know, our events are so social, and most of our members are friends, and the best part of our main fundraiser is the social hour. So how can we possibly recreate that online with 200 people?
Yes. So for that, I would really utilize the breakout rooms. Again, minimize the program on just whatever you have to tell people, but really use the breakout rooms in Zoom. And what you could do is just make, groups of 10, and you can kind of pop them around too, so that people can get in different rooms and talk to different people. And you can also utilize that a lot by just asking questions in the chat, getting people to engage, things like that, so that people feel connected, even if they're sitting in their house by themselves, but they still feel like they get to hang out with their friends.
Great, thanks for that. All right, and just a question that's come up a lot throughout the webinar is if the chat transcript will be shared. There's so many good ideas that were shared about different ways to create connection with your community, some event ideas, and yes, I will be sharing that transcript in our post-event email. So do look out for that, and you can see how other nonprofits on this webinar responded. Okay, question here. Let's see. Trying to go through. There's so many good ones here. Okay, this is a great question from Brian. Brian says, my organization works with foster care, and our event has always focused on emotional punch. High on meaningfulness, but not exactly fun. No gala, auction, etc. So his question is, are there examples of successful virtual events that may be moving, but maybe not fun?
Yeah, I think any event can be moving, but I also want to challenge you to try and make it fun. And this doesn't mean everybody has to be jumping up and down and dancing, right? Because fun is whatever is going to, it's whatever your tribe thinks is fun, whatever they're going to enjoy, right? And so you can definitely still share those really meaningful, moving stories, but you can also do it by just really just buckling down on highlights, right? And spotlighting people, and people love a good story. People love a good uplifting story. And so I would really focus on those. And so kind of what I always tell people is you want to say, these people, this group of people, they're already doing amazing things, and they're already overcoming things, and here's some of the awesome stuff they're doing. So why don't we help them, right? Instead of, oh, they need so much help and they can't do it without you and all that kind of stuff. So I would really just transfer that so that you're really just spotlighting your community, and you can still connect to people in a fun way without it being oh, and now we're going to have a dance party, because it is subjective to your tribe and what they're looking for.
Thanks, Quierra. And here's a question from Nanette is, how do we plan a ticket price for a virtual event? And I've seen that question come up too in multiple ways, of how to think about charging when we're doing it in a different way.
Yes. Okay. So I love this because this comes up for like every event, right? People always want to know how to set their ticket price. So the first thing I would do is, one, focus on not the mechanics of what you're offering, like, oh, we're not offering them food, so we can't have a higher ticket price, not that. So what you're doing is you want to focus on the experience that you're giving people and the value there. So your ticket price should never just be based on like a seat, food, and drinks, just like your sponsorship should never be based on that. And so you're really talking about the value of experience that you're offering people. And so what I do with my clients when we're coming up with ticket prices is I tell them, okay, so what do you think is too low? So what is the ticket price where you feel like it's not even worth putting on this event? And then do a ticket price that you feel that makes you kind of uncomfortable, right? That it's so high that you're just like, I don't know if we can actually charge people that. And then figure out where your happy medium is between those two. So some people might lean a little more towards the higher ticket price and just come off of it a little bit because they're like, oh, okay, well that seems extreme, but a little lower than that makes me feel okay. That's the perfect ticket price. Because again, it is all about the value of the experience that you're offering people. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks for that, Quierra. All right, another question that's come up quite a bit here is about having a community that might be older. What do we do if these event participants are not as comfortable at technology? Can we still target them for this virtual fundraiser, or should we focus on another audience, or just how do we reach them more effectively?
Yeah, so I think the question you actually need to ask there is, are they willing to engage with it, right? Because some audiences are just like, absolutely not, I don't want to touch technology, I'm not into it, this is too hard. But there are plenty of other folks that, you know, their crowds might be older, but they're still willing to at least try it out because they still want to get that community, they still want to connect with their people. And so here, you really want to double down on making your event as convenient and easy as possible. And you want to give people all the instructions, step by step, multiple times, and really just cater to what would make it easier for those specific people. So again, they have to be willing to try, because otherwise you should not do a virtual event, and you should maybe do it for someone else or wait until a better time. But because it has to be something that your audience actually wants. But what I would do is just double down on making it easy for them.
Great. Thanks for that. Let's see here. I am just scanning through all these really great questions. Thank you for your engagement and posing these. Let's see. Okay, let's take this question from Lucinda. And this will be our last question. I'm sorry we can't get to all of them. But appreciate you asking them. We will definitely take this as feedback for planning future content. So we really do appreciate it. So this question from Lucinda is, can you address raising money for a cause when so many are raising money for the pandemic? And is there a good time to schedule our events in the wake of this unknown timeline?
Yeah. So I think that the way I view this is kind of like, you know, there's the scarcity mindset and a growth or abundance mindset. And so you could say like, oh, you know, so many people are having such a hard time and people are raising money for this specific thing right now, so I can't put my cause and my mission out there. It feels like it's maybe not a good time or insensitive or what have you. But the thing is that people are already interested in your cause and they want good news about it. They want something to look forward to. They want to help. So yes, people are choosing to help in relation to the pandemic, but people also just want to help, right? So give them that opportunity. You want to be abundant in that mindset that people who are going to be interested in your event, they're going to be interested still, right? No matter what else is going on. And then what was the second part of that question? Because I want to make sure I get both parts.
Yeah, let's see. Is there a good time to schedule our events in the wake of this unknown timeline?
Yeah, so I think at this point, because we've been in it for a little bit, I would think about what timeline you feel comfortable putting your event together. So do you feel like you could do it in a month? Do you feel like you need a couple months? And go off of that, because your people are going to be ready, and you don't want to wait too long, because then, you know, the world is going to be different, right? We have no idea what's going to happen. I think the biggest lesson that we've all got from this is, like, we all just don't know. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. And so all you can do is do the best you can with the time you have. And so, yeah, I would start by saying, like, okay, based on the kind of event that I think I want to put together, that I think my tribe would be really into, how long would it take me to put that together, and what pieces of engagement would I need to do that well? And then go from there and just do it. Don't worry about, you know, it not working. You want to go in with it being a success. You want to get your energy correct, knowing that you're creating an event that people are going to love, and you're going to put that energy out there, and people are going to respond to it. But if you go into it thinking like no one's going to buy tickets, no one's going to give to this mission, then you're putting that energy out there, and people are going to respond the same way.
Respond to this last question that's also come up quite a bit about what to do in terms of counteracting potential bad internet connections for a live event. Yes, this is a real obstacle. Do you want to chime in on that just real quick before we part ways?
Yeah, my number one
as well.
Well, I just have one tip, is to just hook up an Ethernet cord and hardwiring into your router. I am hooked up right now. So, do not take chances with the Wi-Fi. Make sure that all of your team has an Ethernet cord and they're really hardwired into that. And also knowing that, like, you know, things might happen, and just you have to roll with the punches sometimes, right? And, like, your guests will understand, you'll get back in there, and then you just want to make sure that you're going back to creating that amazing experience for them.
Yep, and just two things to add to that. Dialing in by phone is also great. At least, your audio won't be cut if you are having a connectivity issue with your internet. And then the third is having maybe some pre-recorded content as well that you can rely on, that you can kind of have as a standby, but to also make sure you're not relying fully on live content 100% of the time for your event. So, there's some more things there. Great. Okay. Well, with that, we're over, but it was well worth it to try to get to these last few questions here. And thank you again to everyone for your time, for your engagement. So we do have more webinars coming up. Next week, we have one on how to get started with Google Ad Grants for nonprofits. Following that, we have one about a benchmark report on digital marketing for nonprofits. And then one on how to work toward inclusion for your nonprofit community, and lots more coming. You can view the full lineup at TechSoup.org/community-events, and you can also check out all of our past webinars, our replays, our slides, transcripts, and more there as well. And just one more point here, we've got a lot of great resources for change makers like yourself, starting with TechSoup Courses. It's a social learning platform that provides nonprofits and libraries with just-in-time training. And for attending this webinar, you can get 10% off a TechSoup course of your choice with the code FY20Web10. And there's lots of great things there, from Google Analytics, Facebook ads, Microsoft Office 365, and so much more. We're constantly updating it, so do take a look. And you can also learn about our range of services that we offer to help your nonprofit better implement and manage your technology at TechSoup.org/services. And with that, we'll close out here. Thank you so much again for sharing your experience and your insights with us today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was super fun.
All right, everyone, have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and we will see you on another webinar soon again. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. That will conclude today's conference call. Thank you for your participation, ladies and gentlemen. You may now disconnect.